People always ask me if I'm going to Midday Madness. Are you going to Midday Madness?
This isn't doing it for me. Monday the 19th, right after school. First 100 people get free t-shirts. Midday
Right
Madness.
after school? Midday Madness? Midday Madness on Monday. Be there! Be there!
Why hello there, Central. I'm Gabe Howard.
And I'm Sophie Nickel.
Welcome to this edition of Front and Central.
In this episode, we'll check into the Hall of Fame and meet Mrs. Wells.
And get a long overdue update on the new desk in the LMC. As many of you may know, the library had some renovations over the summer, requiring a new desk. We got the inside scoop with Colin Miller about the renovations.
After many years, Central High School's library has received a new desk. Many are excited for the new desk coming in, but there's also been some challenges that came along with it.
So we actually had a lot of remodels this summer. We had new carpet, we had a hole in the floor repaired, we had a wall taken out, a window added in. So it was just like a good time to do all those things. When they pulled up the carpet, the old desk had to go, and so the new one was playing in its place. It's going to allow us to have our student helpers do a lot of the circulation, so they're going to be interacting with the other students more.
I think the desk is going to be really helpful once it's actually put together, because then the student assistants will actually have some place to sit and actually help the student body with their books and everything.
It'll also give Miss Hillner and Mrs. Flughaft access to see different parts of the library. So the way the desk was before, you couldn't see down the entranceway to the library.
The new desk was expected to be put in October, but it's been pushed back to November.
Well, they started putting it in September, and there's just been a couple of changes that had to be made because things weren't exactly how we needed them to be. And so they're just still working on, people that are building the desk are still working on getting it exactly how we want it.
We just had a lot of weird delays. The people haven't shown up to put it together. The original design we've been tweaking, and so, we didn't anticipate being in October and probably November before it's finished. So
Hopefully the new desk will be in soon. I'm Colin Miller reporting for Front and Central.
Thanks, Colin. Speaking of school renovations, TCAPS has been fortunate enough to receive an award of $245,000, which would go towards upgraded security throughout the district.
This will include an upgrade in the district's radio systems and allow TCAPS to add a visual warning on the outside of a building during a lockdown.
Now let's head over and meet a new staff member and former Central student, Mrs. Wells.
Here at Central, we get new staff and students all the time. This year, we have a new admin assistant, Mrs. Betsy Wells. I went down to the counseling office to go and meet her.
I am an admin assistant here in the counseling office for all the counselors and for the social workers. I went to Traverse City Central High School. I graduated from here. I met my husband here. We were high school sweethearts. I live on the old Mission Peninsula on a 30-acre former cherry farm, now going to be a vineyard. I have 3 children, 2 of which attended the high school here. I have a small business on the side. I make toffee. I have a toffee business. It's called V's Old Mission Toffee.
counseling office staff and Mrs. Wells' daughter gave their input on Betsy's new position.
It's nice because if I'm gone, she can talk to my teachers about my missing work. Because if I ever need something, I can go to her office, or if I want to talk to her, I can talk to her.
So Mrs. Wells took over Mrs. White's position. So Mrs. White went and she got a job at the state. So we got Betsy. We're really happy. Well, Mrs. Wells is great. She actually has her own toffee business. So if they need like a go-to toffee person, she's your lady. She transferred to us from Old Mission. So a lot of the Old Mission kids will know her, but that also means she's kind of got to catch up a little bit on the teenage vocabulary. She didn't know what a meme was. I had to explain that to her the other day, but she's willing to learn. She's doing fantastic. She's fitting right in. She's really funny, got a great sense of humor, so feels like she was supposed to work here.
Mrs. Wells is excited to stick around here at Central, and it was nice to get to know her. Reporting for Front and Central, I'm Olivia Edwardson.
Okay. So, yes, shout out to my daughter Avery Wells in 10th grade, and shout out to my son Brendan Wells, Wellsy, the DJ down at Grand Valley.
Next time that you're in the counseling office, make sure that you say hello to Mrs. Wells. I'm sure that you've seen Central's Hall of Fame located by the main office. We were able to meet one of Central's very own legends, Mr. Niekerk. Let's head on over to the tennis courts.
As you can see behind me are Traverse City Central's tennis courts, where Central's tennis players have been coached by the best. Let's meet him.
Well, I taught for 42 years, but I coached for 50. Had over 1,000 wins. If there's a highlight, it'd probably be the number of tournaments and probably the number of undefeated seasons. There's a whole bunch of those.
So I've worked with Larry for a really long time. I've been part of his program in the summer camps for 15 years, and I've been part of his coaching staff for the last 11 years until last spring when he retired.
I think he had been with the girls 50 plus years coaching. And he's got the whole program down to a science, from the mentoring to the practices to pretty much everything in between.
He's really influential with his players and getting things happening in the community for tennis and fundraising and keeping everyone interested in the sport. So he's a vital part of Central Tennis.
Not only is Coach Niekerk devoted to his players and students, but he's also devoted to the community. He's been named Person of the Week and has been inducted into the MHSCA Coaches Hall of Fame this summer. Not only that, but he also started a youth summer camp here in 1976.
The tennis camp is a big part of our high school program. It gets kids interested early in their lives, that they pick up a racket, and it plants the seed for them to continue on and take lessons into junior high and then be ready to play in high school. He started it over 40 years ago, and there's been so many players that have come through the program. They catch the bug and they're ready to play tennis in high school.
We would travel to tournaments in other cities. He's such an institution, and people really respected him, and he really gave so much to Traverse City through tennis, because it is such a community, as a lifelong sport.
Well, I really ran tournaments for a few years, for maybe 3 or 4 years in the end of the 70s, and then the early 80s, 81, 82, then we started the instructional part too. So it's been 42 years. That's one of the building blocks for having a good program. Now I have former players coming back and bringing their kids into camp. So that's been really rewarding for me now.
I think he just really felt like he genuinely cared about you, and he's so positive and so patient.
Favorite part about being a coach? A lot of favorite parts. Relationships, probably more than anything, that I still have with parents, with players, with other coaches. Records and wins are nice, but the relationships and impact that you've had, on people, hopefully in a good way, that's the best thing.
What a great foundation Coach Niekerk has laid out for Traverse City Central's tennis program. We are lucky to have had such a great teacher and coach here at our school. Reporting for Front and Central, I'm Sophie Nickel.
Wow, I'm really glad that Mr. Niekerk is recognized for his inspirational work over the years. Speaking of sports, you can still try out for the wrestling team by signing up in the athletic office or by contacting Coach Funk.
Practices start at 3:30 for anyone interested. And on our Veterans Day, Student Senate has decided to honor those who have served in the military in the morning announcements.
If you would like to honor any veterans, you can write a note during your lunch that will be sent directly to them. Well, that's it for this episode of Front and Central.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to watch our next episode of Front and Central, where we will check out the new school store and some of Central's sweet rides.
I'm Gabe Howard.
And I'm Sophie Nickel.
Have a great weekend, Trojans.